Hi, I'm Tim. Please join me in this video as I go over making the hatch right here for my RC Pronto airplane. Let's get to it. In this video, as in all my videos, there are chapters. Just hover over the timeline below. They're also described in the description if you'd like to jump ahead to a specific section or review a particular chapter. It's very easy to do. As you saw in the previous flight video, this is the Pronto. The Pronto is a sport airplane designed in 1972. That's 50 years ago. This is being filmed in 2022 by Dave Roblin, published a lot of designs. And it's a great flying airplane. And what I did on the video, and I'll put a card up here on the build of this from plans, is I took that 50-year-old design, recreated it, which is kind of fun, but in the process I converted it from its 0.15 gas-powered engine to electric flight. And the video goes through what we have to do that. So one of the things that we had to do was to build a hatch for the airplane. Remember, when this plane was designed back in 1972, virtually all airplanes were gas-powered. The planes did have a battery, but for those that flew back at that time, it was a small NiCad battery that came with the radio. You'd recharge it at night. You would plug it in to the electronics when the wing was off. You'd leave it plugged in for the whole time you were flying. You didn't have to swap out the battery between flights. It didn't draw that much power because it simply provided electrical power for the receiver and the servos. However, with electric flight, we need a hatch to swap out batteries between flights, so that was something that I had to do for this airplane. What I'd like to do now is it's a little bit hard to see because it's all blue, but this is the handle. The hatch opens like this. There is a hinge right here. It's just a normal hinge we use for control surfaces. And you'll see a metal screw and a rare earth magnet. The magnet just connects to the screw and you have a nice little hatch. So why don't we take a moment and let's look at this before it was covered. You'll see a little bit more detail of the hatch and how I install that. The other thing I'd like to point out is I have done the hatch, I think. So the fuselage here, this is the hinge point right here, a little holder from a popsicle stick. We just open it like that. There's a rare earth magnet located here, epoxied in. This is a metal screw, and you can hear it kind of snap, click shut. And that is the shut. So you can see the bolt is in there with a little extension, and it just simply hinges. And then when the magnet touches the bolt, it keeps it shut. So I think that'll be okay. To show you how the hinge works, I haven't glued it in yet because I'm going to glue it after I cover it. This just pulls out. This is just a normal hinge for control surfaces. I put this cover on here. It looks like what you'd see on an airplane. Made a little opening, a slot here, and with epoxy I'll glue that in place. The key thing is make sure you put some Vaseline in there so it doesn't glue the hinge, and that should be a nice little easy to use hinge setup. And of course, I want to make sure it's big enough for the battery. Here's my 3-cell, and I'll be able to put the battery like this, and there's plenty of room in the fuselage for the battery. So again, there's any number of ways to put on hatches. On this one, I could have put the hatch on top here, the side. I considered the bottom for a while, but I wanted this to be strong for the landing gear. This is just all part of the design process. The one thing I did want to point out, two things really, is the hinge location and the location of the hatch itself. The hinge here is in the front. I think that's a good thing to do so when the slipstream, the airflow goes over the airplane, if there's any looseness back here, the wind will keep the hatch shut. I think that makes sense. If it was the other way around, this could easily fly open and you just have that. The other thing, when I was looking at this Pronto, I'm always concerned about models being tail heavy. That's normally the way they come out. It turns out the Pronto has a quite long nose moment. I put on a much bigger engine than I needed just because I wasn't sure how much power. And long story short, the model's actually a bit nose heavy. If I put the battery inside this hatch where there's tons of room here, it's a perfect location for the battery, it'd be too heavy. The center of gravity is right about here, And it turns out that the battery needs to be the center of gravity. So what I did was I had to put a little plywood tray here, and you feed the battery in here onto the tray. It can be done, but it's difficult. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to remove this hatch, cover this with wood and covering. That will be not hard to do. And then put a hatch either here or maybe on this side, or I may make this whole top area a hatch that can be used to put in the battery. I'll think about that. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but the bottom line is I'm very happy with the rare earth magnets. That's a great way to do it. The purpose of the screw, just to remind everybody, is by turning the screw, you can adjust it up or down to have a perfect connection with the rare earth magnet. And it's just an easy way to do it for your model. Thanks for tuning in, and good luck with building hatches for your RC model airplanes.